Many years ago, when the United States was still a new country, people lived in log houses they had built in the forest. On cold winter evenings, children often would ask their mother to tell a story. "Yes, tell a story, please." What kinds of stories did Mother tell? Well, because these people lived in the woods, they saw many wild animals, and they told many tales about wild animals. The story we're going to hear is something like many old stories told in pioneer cabins. It's called A Tale of the Groundhog's Shadow. Now, this is not a true story, but we like to pretend that wild animals can talk and think even when we know they can't. Our story takes place in the deep woods on a cold day in February. Do you see that big hollow log? It's the winter home of a raccoon. Let's look inside. Raccoon is just waking up from a deep sleep. He hasn't been asleep for just one night. He's been asleep all winter, since the first deep snow fell. That was months ago. Now he's awake, and he's thinking, what fun it will be to play in the warm spring sunshine. Yes, Raccoon was expecting to find warm spring weather. But what does he find? Winter. Wherever he looks, there is snow, and he's cold. What should he do? Should he go back to sleep? Or should he stay awake till spring really comes? Then he has an idea. Maybe Badger will know if spring is on the way. Now, Raccoon knows a likely place to find Badger. And sure enough, there's Badger at his favorite old stump, hunting for something to eat. It's a little risky to bother Badger when he's eating, but Raccoon does want to know if spring is coming. But Badger isn't glad to see him. Not at all. And he doesn't want Raccoon hunting around his stump. "Hold on, Badger," says Raccoon. "Keep your old stump. I wasn't trying to steal your food. I only wanted food." But Raccoon does want food. He hasn't had anything to eat all winter, not since last fall, when he stuffed himself with food to last all winter long. Now he's hungry. Raccoon eats both plants and animals. Of course, with snow on the ground, there aren't any tender young plants to eat. But he has found some insects. He has stuck his paw in among them, and now he's eating them. But Raccoon would like to eat some fresh green shoots. When will spring be here? Maybe Beaver knows. But where is he? Is he down here in his home? No. Is he in the water? It's so hard to see him. There he is. "Oh, Beaver," says Raccoon, "wait a minute. I want to talk to you." Beaver would rather just keep on swimming and hunting for water plants to eat. But he decides that maybe Raccoon has something interesting to tell him. So he goes over to Raccoon and says, "What do you want?" "I want to know when spring will be here." "Don't ask me. Go find Groundhog. He's the one that can tell." "Where can I find him?" "Well, now, I haven't seen him all winter. You'll just have to hunt for his hole." It won't be easy to find Groundhog's hole. Raccoon wonders if he'll ever find out whether spring is nearly here. What's the matter with that raccoon, thinks Beaver. Doesn't he know how on a certain day in February, Groundhog can tell by his shadow whether spring is nearly here? Not far away, Porcupine is climbing his favorite tree. He's been down looking for food, too, but all he found was snow. All the animals are waiting for spring. Raccoon is still looking for Groundhog's hole, and Porcupine is climbing higher and higher. Here comes Raccoon. And do you know where he is? Do you know who's high up in this tree? Of course, Porcupine. Now he's reached the branch where he likes to stay. He can eat the bark of the tree, and he can sleep here and wait for spring. Raccoon has seen Porcupine, and he's calling to him. There's no answer. Raccoon calls louder, but Porcupine just pretends he doesn't hear. So Raccoon will go away and not bother him. Raccoon doesn't like it a bit. But Porcupine just lies there. So Raccoon goes away, feeling that nobody wants to help him, and wishing he had never stepped out of his nice, warm log. But wait, there's another animal here. Raccoon can smell it. A skunk, of course. But he's very cross, and he says to Raccoon, "Go away and leave me alone." This makes Raccoon very angry, and the first thing you know, they're having a big argument. About what? About whether or not Skunk is going to tell Raccoon where Groundhog lives. It's a silly argument, isn't it? "I don't know what all the fuss is about," says Skunk. "Spring is bound to come. It does every year. But if you have to see Groundhog, he lives under a big stump just beyond—" But Raccoon hurries away without waiting for Skunk to finish. He's so sure he knows the way. So sure until suddenly he realizes he's lost, and he wishes he had not been so impatient with Skunk. There's nothing for Raccoon to do but keep hunting. Now here's the stump where Groundhog lives. Skunk knew where it was. But look at Raccoon going right past it. Fortunately, this is the day in February for Groundhog to wake up and come out of his hole. He sees Raccoon and calls him. "Where are you?" says Raccoon. "Over here," says Groundhog. "Have you come to find out if spring is here?" "Yes, please tell me, please." "Very well," says Groundhog. "I'll look for my shadow. If I see it, there will be 6 more weeks of cold winter weather. But if I don't see it, then spring may be here." "Oh, I hope you don't see it." No shadow. So, if we look around us, we should see the first signs of spring. And sure enough, here are some new green leaves poking up through the melting snow. And here is a robin, a sure sign of spring. "Well," says Groundhog, "I'll go back down into my hole for a short nap of just a few days." "And I'll go look for a place to build a nest," says Robin. "Thank you, Groundhog," says Raccoon. "Now it won't be long before I can have a good spring dinner." And that's the end of our tale of the Groundhog's Shadow, a story like the ones that people told long ago, Yet even today, people pretend that the groundhog can tell if spring is here. That's because it's fun to pretend. Would you like to pretend that you're living in the long ago, when people told stories about animals? Could you make up your own story about some of the animals we've seen? Why don't you try it?